Hello and welcome to Morning Brew this morning. I'm hoping that my tech is working okay, but my laptop, my poor little long-suffering laptop, is groaning. I can hear it groaning under the strain of having to, have a video going out and also a web page open. Yeah, let's party like it's 1999 and you're downloading the Star Wars Episode 1 trailer. Remember that? It took us 2 days. Anyway, right, so hello everybody out there in internet land. How you all doing? Hope you're having a great day today so far. Who's not having a great day so far is the environment. Mostly because the government has decided to bring out a new plan. This is their new climate change plan. And it's a bit like... imagine you've got a friend who has a problem with alcohol, and their solution to the problem with alcohol, I've got a plan. I've got a 12-step plan, and the plan is go the off license, buy more booze, go the pub, get really drunk, keep drinking forever, and you're just like, that's a plan to stop drinking? Because it looks very much like a plan to continue on very much how you are. So this is the new government plan to do something about climate change and live up to the government's own commitment to us becoming zero carbon neutral by 2050 or whenever they keep pushing that date back to. A big hello out there to Lee Corn saying in real player. Oh, real player. Them were the days. Real men use real player. Yoni is there saying the tech seems to be essentially functional. Thank you. That's very Finnish. It's got Cathal and we got Jeff as well. And we've got Feckle Puny and we've got Little Gardener. Hey, hello everyone. So anyway, the point being, right, this is kind of crazy. When I was in school, we had prefects in the sixth form, and I used to get essays all the time. And it would be like one side or two side of A4. So what I used to do is I would invariably change pens halfway through and say, I'm sorry, I had to change pens because my pen ran out of ink. It does that sometimes, just to fill up the space on the page, right? I'm sure we've all been there, when you had like two sides to fill as a kid and you just made up stuff to fill it. That's basically what the government's done. They've been told by the High Court that they're not doing enough about climate change, fighting climate change, and so they've given this 100-page report, this plan, in order to stop the UK being one of the worst polluters in the world, per capita, ever. And their plan, get this, okay, let's get into it, shall we? 1.5% of all UK households are going to get subsidies towards insulation. I'll say that again. 1.5%. So let's put that another way. 98.5% of UK households are going to get nothing towards insulation. The one thing that can bring your energy bills down pretty much more than anything else. 98.5% of houses are not going to get that done via the government scheme. And the maddening thing about this is it's the cheapest way to reduce your energy bill. So I bought some top-up insulation for the loft here in Durham just before winter, and I've managed to do half of the loft. And we've got a good sized loft. We managed to do half of it for 100 quid. 100 quid. And don't forget, it's already got insulation there, but it's not good enough. So you buy top-up insulation. Thanks Wayne in Basildon for putting me onto that. And you just lay it down. And the difference it makes is monumental. It's 100 quid. It's 100 freaking quid. And I know, like, not all houses are the same. Some houses got no insulation whatsoever. Obviously, some houses are more difficult to get into the attic. Blah, 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 blah. But the fact remains that this is one of the cheapest and most effective ways of fighting climate change, is to reduce your energy consumption. Also, reducing your energy bills. The Tories don't want to do that. I'll leave it for you to think about why they might not want to do that. So what they are going to do is they're going to give billions to the dirty fossil fuel corporations. Yes, those megacorps that run the world and run all the governments in the world and decide which wars are going to be fought around the world. Yes, those oil conglomerates are going to be given taxpayers' money. This is the new plan. Taxpayers' money going to these big oil firms so they can use carbon capture technology, which is proved not to work, to suck in carbon from the air somehow, from the sky, I guess, from the atmosphere where it's causing all the problems. Yeah, they're going to suck it all in, I think, with a big vacuum cleaner. Like in Spaceballs, where they had the big maid and she had it was the giant Statue of Liberty maid, and she had the Hoover, and she put it over the planet Druidia, and she was going to suck all the air. I think that's what they're going to do. So they're going to suck all the air out of the atmosphere somehow, using magic, like Harry Potter. Jesus Christ. Do you know what? I could explain this to my 8-year-old stepdaughter, and she'll be like, what are they on about? How is that even going to work? But what they're going to do is they're going to capture it, right? And then they're going to pump it underground. Do you know what that takes? A lot of energy. So what are they going to do to make the energy to pump this down into the ground to capture the carbon? They're going to burn fossil fuels. Because we've reached peak oil. That apparently we've passed it a couple of days ago, maybe. I don't know. It keeps changing. But the point is, the oil is going to run out. Which is great, because in the future, we're not going to need roads or plastics. But that's fine. We can make roads out of plants, I guess. Somehow, even though that technology doesn't exist yet. Maybe it will in the future. Like the next wizard wheeze of the government, which is, green carbon. Sorry, not green carbon. Green hydrogen, which is even better than carbon. Yeah, we're going to have green carbon. Right. Okay. So they're going to invest £240 million. That's 240,000,000 pounds in green hydrogen. Right, so let's talk about hydrogen for a moment. Hydrogen, and I'm not allowed to swear on this channel, is bullshot as an energy fuel thing for most practical ways of living. You're never going to use hydrogen to heat your house. You are never going to use hydrogen to power your car. It just ain't going to happen. I know that the only thing that comes out of it is water. Oh, what an amazing thing. But the fact is, the logistics behind getting hydrogen around the country and around the world are insane. You think it's bad enough the way that we get petrol and diesel around the world is a bit mad. How about we had to freeze that petrol and that diesel, using energy to freeze it in order to transport it, and then keep it in the big things that are under the ground, the big tanks that are under the ground in petrol stations. Yeah, one of them. But it's got to keep refrigerated, because otherwise it would expand to like 5 times its volume, and obviously that would cause an explosion. So we can't have that. So we've got to keep it really, really cold. And keeping it cold uses, what was that? Energy. So it's one of the most wasteful ways of making energy. There are some applications, and I will give you this, in industry where hydrogen's quite useful. But the idea of having green hydrogen, don't forget 95% of the hydrogen we produce on this planet for fuel is currently made by fossil fuels. Yes. Look, I'm no Al Gore. I'm certainly no Greta Thunberg. I don't know that much about this stuff, but I know enough to look at it and go, what? Excuse me? What? That's your plan. That is you're going to use fossil fuels to make hydrogen from water, and then you're going to freeze it to like minus 273 degrees Celsius. And then you're going to somehow, transport it around the country in these frozen trucks. What if one of them has a crash? Anyone fancy, the bit in Terminator 2 where he gets the liquid nitrogen all over him and he freezes? Yeah? Did you fancy that? I don't think you're going to glue back together afterwards, mate, because you're a squishy human. You're not an android from the future sent back to kill Sarah Connor and her offspring. My God, seriously, it's like, what are they thinking? But yeah, we're going to have green hydrogen. So instead of having a wind turbine, I'm going to come to that in a moment. Instead of just having a normal wind turbine, we're going to have a wind turbine that's connected to a power plant or a facility that makes hydrogen. And there's a thing called, I think it's called the second law of thermodynamics. I'm basically married to a physicist, so I should probably go and ask her if that's the correct one of the three. But it's one of them. It says that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Okay? So if we're making energy from the wind, and then it's making hydrogen, there's going to be some loss of energy along the way. Why don't we just plug straight into the wind turbines? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because the Tories have left in place the moratorium, the effective ban on wind farms. They're making a little bit easier in this new paper. A little tiny bit easier, but not much. We have one of the windiest countries in the world. Yeah, we have mountains. Struggle to call them mountains. We have very tall hills in this country, very ancient. The Pennines are millions and millions of years older than the Himalayas, for instance. But the fact remains that we have a lot of wind. But the problem is we also have a lot of rich people who own grouse farms on these hills. And they don't want to see wind turbines. That spoils the view. They don't want to see, I don't know, a progressive green future for our children, our grandchildren. No, they don't want to see that. It's boring. It's boring. And because we're run by a bunch of psychopaths, this is the situation we're in. And it's very interesting that the oil lobby, which is massive, is huge. As a PSYOPs organization, think of it like that. Think of the oil companies. They just want to make money, make more money, make as much money as possible until the oil runs out. They don't want us turning off the taps now while there's still oil in their hills. Okay? So they've been running a very, very effective PSYOPs operation for decades now. Absolute decades. Going back to Rockefeller setting up the University of Chicago's economics school, which decided that, the free market should dictate everything, really. I mean, really, you should let the oil men decide what's good for you and your children and your grandchildren. Yeah, the oil people. And all of this stuff like carbon capture, your carbon footprint, it's your fault. It's not our fault that we're pumping nearly 90% of the pollutants into the air causing climate change. No, it's you. It's you. So we're going to make you feel guilty every time you drop your kids off at school. We're going to make you feel guilty every time you get on an aeroplane to go anywhere because it's your carbon footprint. When the reality is we would have a very light carbon footprint if the fossil fuel companies would have let us have electric cars in the 90s, which they didn't, or maybe if they had switched to renewable energy years ago, so 90% or more of our energy was coming from wind farms, was coming from solar. Yeah, that would have been good. That investment would have been good back then, 30 years ago. But now it's like, oh no, we're gonna have hydrogen, which is always 10 years away. We're gonna have nuclear. We're gonna invest more in nuclear, which is always 10 years away. And have you noticed how whenever there's a nuclear disaster, that is a huge thing. That is a huge deal. Nuclear disaster, Chernobyl, Fukushima, 3 Mile Island, wind scale. It's a big thing. It plays on the imagination. Then have a think about how many people die in fossil fuel extraction. Just there's thousands every year. Around the world. Have a think about how many people die in the Niger Delta because of all the pollutants from the thousands of leaks from the oil pipes that Western companies have put into their delta, destroying their livelihoods, destroying all of the life in the delta. Yeah. Think about how many people are going to die in the future because of climate change. Yeah, but, nuclear power, but per unit, nuclear power is insanely expensive compared with other things like renewables, which have come down in price immeasurably. Well, no, of course it's measurably since even just in the last decade. And new technology is coming through all the time. But this country is blessed for wind. Maybe not so much for sun, but definitely the wind. And by the way, solar panels are more efficient in the cold. What you want is a cold winter's day that's clear. That's really good for solar panels. As someone who lived using nothing but solar panels for many years, I'll tell you this: when it gets really hot, those panels get a lot less efficient. So it's a good place for solar panels. So some of the ideas that have been put out there, not by me, but by people immeasurably smart. Well, measurably smart. I keep saying immeasurably. I've got War of the Worlds stuck in my head. Anyway, people smarter than me have come up with these ideas, like putting solar panels in car parks, so your car's in the shade for a start, and then it's a big waste of space anyway, because car parks are a waste of space. And you have these, shelters for your cars to go into, and on the top are solar panels. They don't have to track the sun across the sky. It doesn't matter. Just lay them flat. They're fine. They'll get some light. And they're only they're pretty cheap. You can get a decent solar panel now for about 100 quid. And you get 6 of them, and you've got enough power for pretty much all your lighting and all your low electronic use in the house. Low power electronics use, so your laptop and your TV and all that kind of stuff. All you need is 6 solar panels. That's it. Okay, you can't run a toaster or hair curlers or whatever else off solar because it drags too much energy out of it at the moment. But, you scale it up. You imagine you go to the supermarket, and the supermarket is completely... its energy needs are completely filled by its own car park, essentially. Might even pump some energy back into the grid. So more money for nuclear, forever 10 years away. The effective ban on onshore wind farms is to stay in place. And I would just remind you of what Liz Truss, our beloved leader for about 6 weeks, Liz Truss, the woman who cost this country £40 billion. And I hope she has to pay it back in instalments. Oh, no, she doesn't have to pay it back. What's that? She didn't even lose her job. What? No, she lost her job as a Prime Minister. Yeah, but she's still an MP. Okay, so she's still taking £80,000 a year off the taxpayer. Oh, my God. This little man who lives in my ear, he's really annoying. He's pointing out stone-cold truths in my ear. But, yeah, she said... there was nothing more depressing. Think about those words. Nothing more depressing. And when she said this, I thought immediately of David Attenborough, who is 96 years old, and he has travelled the world, and he has seen the devastation to the natural environment that humans have wrought. 96 years old. In his lifetime, the population of the Earth has more than quadrupled. And he's looking at this situation just going, oh my God, this is horrific. This is really depressing. And he always tries to give some hope for the future, new technologies, new ideas, things coming out. No, Liz Truss, she drives past a field of solar panels. So this is energy production on British soil. Energy, I'll say that again. There's nothing more depressing than clean, green energy production on British soil. That's the Tory mantra. That's what the Tories want you to believe. There are other good ideas out there as well. In France, if you have a new build building, it's got to have solar panels on top or a garden. That's the rules. People have suggested that you put an electric line down every motorway. Every motorway in the inside lane has an electric line. Like a tram line. Like the trams get the power from the overhead line. Yeah, you have one of them. And the electric lorries can charge as they drive. So you wouldn't need massive batteries weighing down the lorries and causing them to use more energy because of the amount of energy you need to move the batteries. Never mind the rest of the cargo. And then they'll arrive at their depot. They'll have a 100-mile range or something, and they'll already be fully charged to go out again. They wouldn't have to plug in at the depot and wait for 12 hours before they can go out again. See what I mean? Pretty good. That these ideas that are out there that are doable and quite cheap, actually, compared with, trying to make hydrogen, trying to take air from the atmosphere and put it underground. It's just bonkers. It's like, they'll go, let's put loads of mirrors in the sky. We'll put loads of mirrors and it'll reflect the light and it won't be so hot. It's just like, what? We have the fix. We have the solutions to the problem of climate change. We know what to do. And it's like, here's the cheap and easy solution. No, we don't want that. We want expensive and unproven. Yeah, let's do that instead. Woohoo! That's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. So this is all I wanted to talk about today, really, is just how mad the new government plan for combating climate change is. It is absolutely 100% bonkers. And it's been criticised as half-baked and half-hearted. Sorry, it's 1,000-page. I said 100-page plan. It's 1,000-page plan. So they were told to go away and write a more detailed plan. So the most more detailed plan is 1,000 pages, and it consists mostly of them writing. My pen ran out of ink. I've had to start a new pen. This happens from time to time. Just they've written that out 10,000 times. Apparently, the government is going to ignore scientists and gamble gamble on carbon capture and storage tech, i.e. batteries containing rare earth materials, lithium, things like that are really hard to get hold of because they exist in very isolated places around the world, in Botswana and Bolivia. And it doesn't do their ecosystems any favors to be extracting all this lithium. I mean, we've got lithium in all our phones already, but let's have some more, because carbon tech, yay! We've had the flashy presentation from the fossil fuel companies to just stop us doing anything about the climate change that's happening all around us. There's a discussion going on in the chat. Sorry, I've missed the top of the chat there. Sorry, I was whittling on a little bit. Lee, why curtail the profits of oil companies that promised a place on the board when the Tories are kicked out? That's from Pineapple Boy. Indeed. Lee says the oil company's latest conspiracy theory is they're promoting 15-minute cities are prisons. Yeah, you won't be allowed out of your 15-minute city. There was actually a protest about that in February. I can already get almost everything I need within 15 minutes walk. That's from Liam North. Well, I can in Liverpool. Liverpool's a really good livable city. In fact, I think it was voted the most livable city in the Northwest in a poll that came out last week, which doesn't surprise me. Liverpool is a really nice, compact, sweet little city. It only takes 20 minutes to get anywhere. It's really good. And it could do better. I'd like to work on the transport infrastructure in Liverpool, especially when it comes to restoring the old train lines that were there and were taken away in the 60s by Ernest Marples, the Tory transport minister, that crook, the one who sold all his shares in Marples Ridgeway Construction, who made motorways to his wife for £1. Oh my God. That's not good. Anyway, don't get too vexed, Graham. The 14th of April, Amazon Prime Brazil, Drag Queens Carnival, RuPaul Drag Show. Okay, that's random, but thank you very much, David, for that. Look up agrivoltaics. Oh my God. Okay. Yurosh says they're not making money out of it, hence it's depressing and unwanted. Pineapple Boy, excrement in our rivers running past abandoned farms is according to plan, but solar panels, that is a disgrace. Her words were that there's nothing more depressing. That's what she said. About solar panels. There's nothing more depressing than making a better future for our children. For the record, it's the first time the law of thermodynamics that states energy is always conserved. It's the first law. Okay, thank you. Yeah, but the second one is that energy can't be created nor destroyed, and obviously to set off a chain reaction to make a nuclear bomb or start a nuclear fission in order to make power that way. It takes a lot of power to get that going in the first place. But once it starts going, you can keep it going. Now, if they talked about nuclear powered hydrogen facilities, then I might be a bit more okay. Yeah, I can see how that could work, but taking energy from wind farms, the few onshore wind farms that the Tories are going to allow us to have, is just, it's painful. Your name reminds me that I should get back to work. I start 30-minute break. That's it, Liverpool here. That's from Liam North. No, Liverpool's it is a really great city. I mean, I've been, and I should know, I've been to a few. First law, you can't win. Second law, you can't break even. Third law, you can't quit the game. Yeah, that's very true. Can turn up the volume. No, I can't actually. I don't know. Do you know what? I can turn up the gain, which is hidden behind this little thing here. Oh, this is great. Doing tech stuff while we're there. You go. I've switched up the gain a little bit there on my mic, just for you, David. Just for you. And then I press the mute button. That was good. Volume is great, says Pineapple Boy as I blast into his ears with my new gain. Turned up a bit. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. I love it when it's like live stream technical issues. So before I go, I've only got a few minutes left. Sorry, I was rabbiting on a little bit there. Okay, so MP Margaret Farrier, who travelled by train with COVID, faces suspension from Commons and possible by-election. This is just breaking. She's SNP, isn't she? She lost the SNP whip and pleaded guilty to breaching COVID rules. I can't believe this. So she's facing a by-election, but Boris Johnson, who had cocaine-fueled orgies every week when we were in lockdown, is still an MP. and will be till the end of his term, by the looks of things. There's been a deadly crash in America with 2 helicopters, or at least 1 helicopter. 4 bankers found guilty of allowing cellist friend of Vladimir Putin to deposit huge sums of Swiss account. 4 bankers have been found guilty of. There's a cellist who's a friend of Vladimir Putin who's put billions of pounds in this Swiss bank account that was brokered by Mossad Fonseca, who are the lawyer company the lawyers in Panama City, Panama, who basically facilitated a lot of dodgy people to put money in dodgy tax havens around the world, including David Cameron's dad. And Vladimir Putin's favourite cellist. He just really likes the cello. It's well worth billions. Anyway, the pension age to 68 is not to be brought forward yet. And let's see what else is happening before I disappear. A top US general is saying that the battle for Bakhmut in Ukraine is a slaughter fest for the Russians. It is pretty grim. I don't know if you ever played the game Cannon Fodder on the Amiga, but it's pretty... Yeah, that's what it's starting to look like. If you can bear to watch any of the footage, it's really grim. Bolsonaro says he won't lead opposition as he returns to Brazil for the first time since the riots that he provoked while he was in America. Solidarity, Reg. Yeah, solidarity. That's pretty awful. And Beijing is warning of severe impact on US-China relations as Taiwan's leader lands in New York, because obviously America says, look, Taiwan has got to be respected as an independent state, but China's like, no, and it can never be a member of the UN as a result. And it would be really nice if we had normalization talks. There is some good news out there that normalization talks between Kosovo and Serbia have ended in some sort of agreement that hasn't been ratified by either side yet, but it's a step in the right direction because it means that they will both be able to, well, first of all, it means that Kosovo will be able to join the UN, and also that both countries will be able to join the EU, which is something that a lot of people want to do. And just one last thing before I go. There was a news story that came out today about people's trust in Parliament, and it's the lowest in history. It's about only 13% of the population in this country have a lot of trust in government. Oh no, sorry, it was 13% in newspapers, in the press. Oh my God, I think the government was pretty low as well. But interestingly enough, the government figure was lower than the trust in the EU. What can I say? Except I was right all along, and people should listen to me more. Okay, right. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow, obviously at 9:30 for another morning brew. I'm going to keep doing this until there's no food left in my cupboards. There's no heat left in my radiators. Until I've got no water left except for what I collect when it rains. I'll be here for you. If you want to drop in a super chat to help get Labour Social off the ground, I'd really appreciate that. And in the meantime, if you look on the channel and you haven't seen them already, there is a podcast on the channel, and there's already an episode of The Agenda. There'll be more episodes of podcast and The Agenda and Would They Lie to You coming up over the next few days, so look out for them. And thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who's dropped in to say hello on the chat there. Really appreciate that. Thanks to all my YouTube members and my patrons who are awesome, obviously. And I will see you tomorrow at 9:30. Until then, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.